So I was born and raised in Long Beach, California, which is a city that has the largest population of Cambodians outside of Cambodia. So in a sense, it's the capital of the diaspora. When you think about the history of Khmer people, you're really left with two images that will forever stay there. One is the image of Angkor Wat, of the temples and of the prosperity and the culture, of beauty, of transcendence, and then the other image is the image of the Khmer Rouge and the violence and the trauma that it's left. And so many people in Long Beach are survivors of this violent genocide that for someone like myself, who's second generation American, I'm always struggling to understand it. And sure, it's easy to accept something that's beautiful, that image of Angkor, but it's not always easy to accept that tragedy and the poverty that that it has meant for people like myself and for my little sister, for my friends, and so Khmer classical dance, for me as a young man, it really gave me a voice. When you think about, growing up in inner city Long Beach, surrounded by violence, growing up in the 90s when gang violence was especially prevalent, Khmer dance gave me a foundation to ground myself. It gave me a mentor who was, a world-class thinker and maker, and so in the place of in this place where you think that nothing can grow, art was that soil that allowed for me to grow and rise above those surroundings. I first encountered the apprenticeship program in 2007 when I was an apprentice to Charyo Burt, who is an artist, a Khmer classical dance artist based in Santa Rosa. And she is actually the younger sister of my teacher. And so since my time working with Charya, and while I was living in San Francisco, that was really the moment in which I started to recognize my identity as an artist. And so when I left to study experimental filmmaking at the San Francisco Art Institute, I was studying filmmaking. I was like, oh, I want to be a filmmaking artist. I want to be a photographer. I want to be a visual artist, because that's what artists are. And I didn't realize that Khmer classical dance was also an art. And so I was presenting dance, like presenting shadow play, presenting Cambodian classical dance, Balinese mass dance, Buto, on the actual campus, but I didn't realize. And then I was thinking oh wait, well this is an art form too, and so why am I not learning how to manipulate this, the way that I'm manipulating light, the way that I'm manipulating sound and text and stuff like that. And so so since then I've really grown into my own artist and found, I feel like my own path as an artist, which is really steeped in tradition, very, very respectful of it, but also at the same time steeped in this world of experimentation, and so I feel like I know how to push things and be respectful at the same time. Taking part in this apprenticeship really did a lot of things for me, and it did a lot of things for Kanya as well. For me, a gift is something, everyone's like, oh, artists have these gifts. But there's so much responsibility with them, there's a responsibility to take care of that gift, the responsibility to share that gift, and the responsibility to constantly refine it, and it's not an easy task, when you think about, your realities and stuff like that. And so taking part in the apprenticeship really refined my abilities as a teacher. It really reminded me of the importance of what I'm doing. You know, I come from a tradition that's over 1,000 years old, and, you know, teaching my sister, you know, it made me realize, wow, this is that, like, 1,000 years of love and hope and resilience and empowerment being written into the body of the student by the hands of the teacher. Because in Khmer classical dance, we literally sculpt the students' bodies. And on the opposite end, you know, when I look at Kanya, I see, oh wow, like, this is someone who's excited, this is someone who's inspired now, this is someone who's more aware, this is someone taking responsibility. You know, watching her teach younger students is really wonderful to me. Watching her learn how to costume and sewing costumes on to the younger students and to her peers, watching her show a lot more leadership. That for me, that's comforting, because when you think about this 1,000-year-old, this tradition that's over 1,000 years old, one that was nearly destroyed, you know, in the 70s when the Khmer Rouge took power, 90% of artists died of disease, overwork, starvation, and execution. So you can imagine, like, what kind of work my teachers' teachers had to go through to rebuild this tradition. And I feel like working intensively with my sister, just one-on-one with her, made me realize, like, wow, they did something, you know, that's nothing less than magic, you know, to bring this art form and to bring this country, to bring these people and their spirit back to life, when all around them is nothing but destruction, you know, and so I feel like the apprenticeship is really giving my community, giving communities across California, giving, in a sense, new leaders who can carry on the art form, new leaders who can push the art form further at the same time. Hi everyone, I'd like to really urge you to support the Alliance for California Traditional Arts' Master Apprenticeship Program. For those of you who have no connection to or knowledge of traditional arts, let me just say, as a gay man in California, it means so much to me, because traditional arts provide a space for validating, for imagining my place in contemporary society. So, for example, in Khmer dance ritual, at the height of dance ritual, a Brahmin who's half male and half female appears, and this person acts as messenger between the heaven and earth for the deliverance of peace and prosperity and well-being of the world. And when you think about the terreiros of Brazilian candomblé, where men and women gather and dance in music of prayer, it's oftentimes that gay men and women too are leading these houses in dance and song. And so for me, traditional arts is my history as a gay man, and it's the LGBT community's history, and certainly ACTA's Master Apprenticeship Program is literally passing on that history from one teacher to a student who will become a teacher, and that student will pass it on to their students. And so what we're doing is we're keeping this history alive and providing ourselves with possibilities for imagining a more equal and just future in society.